this meeting. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and dive into our main topic for today, which is going to be kind of fall marketing. I know it's the end of summer. We're probably all hanging on to those summer days, but it is time to start thinking about kind of what we call in the industry the year-end push and making sure that we have our marketing kind of activities and campaigns and thoughts set up for the end of the year so that we can kind of end the year on a strong note. So to start, let's just kind of talk about, I think, what's probably on a lot of people's minds, and I think what makes sense from a fall marketing perspective. We did recently have the passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which is going to impact tax planning for many of your clients. And, timely marketing is always a good thing to lead with. So I'm sure you're already communicating with your clients kind of about these changes, but as the days go on, we're getting more clarity on some of the details of the bill, about, when things go into effect, what they actually are going to mean, what that looks like. So I think, having some sort of campaign around that this fall is going to be a really, good idea for you to think about. From our end of support that we can give you on this, we have updated our Savvy Tax Planning presentation to reflect the changes from that law. We've also updated key data to reflect those changes. So if you haven't gotten your new key data PDF that has been updated, you can reach out to the member support at Horse's Mouth and they can kind of help you get that. You can also just go to the key data campaign page on Advisor Client and re-download your PDF and you'll get the updated version. So just a note that I wanted to make sure that you were all aware of for all our members who are on the call. If you're not a member, you can also just, purchase the updated PDF if you haven't already too. So that's an option as well. But I think, thinking about some of the, you know, new updates to those presentations and planning a campaign for clients and prospects makes a lot of sense. We're also working on a new presentation that is just focused on the changes from the new law, and that should be coming out in the next few weeks. So that's another thing that you can kind of add to your fall marketing plan. Obviously, that's not, super related to fall and year-end planning, but again, timely updates are always good. People have a lot of questions about this. It's confusing for professionals to know, some things go into effect retroactively, some things are in effect this year, some things are in effect next year. The phase out limits for all the different new regulations are all different amounts. And so there's a lot to keep track of. Your clients and prospects probably only know like the main headlines that, are being reported on. So you can really come in as a voice of clarity. So I would say, number one, let's go with timely marketing here and think about what we can do around tax planning and the changes that clients and prospects are going to face in that area. We also, of course, want to think about kind of year-end planning too, right? As we get into September, October, thinking about what people need to think about as the year comes to a close and what they'll be thinking about at the beginning of the year. So we have our ever famous last chance financial planning checklist that will be coming out next month, updated for 2025. That's always something we highly recommend sending out and sharing because it is just a great kind of resource for people to kind of summarize what's happened this year, check off things I want to discuss with you. It's great for getting those year-end meetings from clients and prospects. So if you want to close some more business before the end of the year, just get more meetings, that's a great piece to be sending out. You can, of course, kind of create your own year-end planning campaign as well. I mean, we just have that readily available for members, and I think that's a great alternative if you have access to that. But of course, you can also think about year-end and planning campaigns you can do on your own, creating your own content, or even taking the last chance checklist and, making a series about it. So maybe it's, a blog post a week that focuses on each area, social media posts that focus on each area, emails, videos that you do. There's a lot of ways that you can get more leverage out of that card rather than simply just sending it via email or hard copy. So kind of thinking creatively about how you can break up that content and repurpose it in different ways and really make a kind of comprehensive campaign around it. Of course, too, when we think about the fall, there's a lot of, holidays that come up. So thinking about kind of your holiday theme planning. So you might want to do a lot of, advisors will do kind of like a fall appreciation event just at the end of the year to, appreciate their clients, do something fun and social. There's a lot you can do there. Um, Thanksgiving, some advisors like to send gifts for Thanksgiving or the holidays. So just starting to think now, I know it's August, but thinking about now what you want to do for those kind of client appreciation items on your marketing plan, whether that's an event or just simply a gift, a card, any kind of way that you want to reach out. I know there's one advisor who always sends pies to their clients for Thanksgiving. And his thought was always, people are sending a lot of gifts at the end of the year for Christmas and Hanukkah and the New Year. And he thought he could stand out a little bit more by sending that pie for Thanksgiving. So something like that is always, one way to be thinking about that too. Is doing something different, or if you do the same thing every year and your clients love it, just make sure that you're ready to go with that too. Um, Other things you can do if you're feeling like, you maybe need to ramp it up a little bit to hit the goal that you set for this year, you can always do some sort of lead generation campaign this fall. So again, what could be really good right now for a lot of our members on the call, as I mentioned, updated key data that's available for you. You could set up a lead gen campaign around key data, specifically saying, it's been updated, this reflects the changes of that, and set up a whole lead gen campaign around there. Try to get people in. Educational events in the fall are also, I think, kind of one of the best ways to really bring in more prospects during this time of year. People get into like that back to school mindset of like, wanting to go to educational events in the fall, learning about something new. So whether that's a tax event, like we talked about at the top of the hour, or doing something different like Medicare to kind of time up with open enrollment, what that looks like, Social Security, retirement planning in general. I think fall is a great time to plan a couple of events. So again, if you're saying, I'm close to my numbers, I'm not really there, or even if you've hit that number and you just want to keep going, planning a couple of events for the fall, I think is a great move there. And then I would also say again, and this is kind of built into our calendar, we'll talk about it a little bit more in our next session, but kind of just making sure that you're timely with your marketing. So, Medicare open enrollment begins in the fall. So sending out some pieces around there to clients who are, in that age range makes a lot of sense. General year-end planning tips, we have some article reprints around there that you might want to send out, or if you have your own content, thinking about just plugging that into your marketing calendar. For the year end. There are a ton of resources in the advisor client kind of campaign library about year end planning. So if you want a little bit more, um, you can always go there and look at some of the campaigns that are around that. I see that we got a question here from Kenneth. Do we have those ideas listed somewhere? If you're an advisor client or a master member, you will be getting a newsletter in the next couple of days where I talk about the same stuff. So you'll kind of get it in writing, but you'll also be able to access this replay as well once we're done if you want to go back and review it too. But that's a great question. And if anyone too, feel free to share in the chat, if there's anything that you're thinking about for the fall and you want to share or kind of get some feedback on, please feel free to kind of chime in and we can totally discuss that. I'd be more than happy to do that as well. But that's kind of what I'm thinking here for the year end push. We talk about this stuff every year. Sometimes it can get repetitive. This year we happen to have kind of a new topic that you can use in your marketing. So I do again encourage everyone to think about the tax angle and what you can do for clients and prospects. Because I'm telling you, they have questions. They want to know how it impacts them specifically, and you can be a good voice of reason. Moving on to our second kind of portion of the programming, which is all about the marketing activities for your next 60 days. So I'm going to quickly share my screen here. This is the marketing calendar for our advisor client and master members, where we list out the marketing activities that you need to do each month. We pick a theme for each month. We choose some article reprints and other handouts that fit into that theme, as well as some, webinars or workshops that you can do at the same time, and all of your marketing is kind of set for you. So month of August, is college planning, right? We know kind of people are getting into that back to school mindset as we talked about earlier. And so talking about college planning now makes a lot of sense. For our communication touch for the month, we have an article reprint that was written by Lynn O'Shaughnessy, who leads our Savvy College Planning program. And it kind of goes over the different options that students have when applying to schools, and what the benefits of each are. This is a great piece to send to, clients who are either have children or grandchildren who are, pre-college age, thinking about building their list, and what that might look like. Again, our if you're not familiar with our college planning program, it's really focused on late stage college planning. So for kids who are in, late middle school, early high school, it's not just about 529 plans. It's about really being able to, make a list of colleges that make sense, how you can get more financial aid and scholarship. And it's really comprehensive in helping people, pay for college in a way that makes sense for their family. So this is just a way to communicate with your clients and prospects about different school choices and what different schools have to offer. So this is our reprint for the month of August. Again, it's a really good piece, and I think it's eye-opening for a lot of clients who might not know the inner workings of the college admissions and aid process. Next, we have our handout, which is our key college funding data. We just finalized this for this year. It was a little bit later than normal, and I will just add that every year we're always waiting on this specific report about college interest rates and numbers and things that need to be updated. And every year it comes out a little bit later. Doug and I were just talking about this before we got on. And so we just finalized this for 2025, 2026. So if you were looking for it last week, apologies for that. But we do have all the numbers now. And so we were able to update this and make sure that it's ready for you to send out to clients and prospects. It's a two-sided card. This is a really great piece. I don't think it gets used as much as it should. If you have clients who have kids or grandkids who are in high school, this is something that should be sent to them. Absolutely. It starts really great here. You can see this roadmap, which kind of lays out different actions that the child needs to take, the parents need to take, to get ready for the college planning process. So, things about, your student aid index, building a list of schools, college application essays, the FAFSA and what that looks like. So this is a great kind of roadmap. And then the card goes into different areas of the college planning and funding process. So again, financial aid, admissions, and then there's a back side of it, which I'm sorry, it's not loading right now, but it kind of continues on some more details about grants and loans and what the current interest rates are. And it's just a really comprehensive card that you can personalize with your information. You can send this out hard copy or PDF. And I think it's really beneficial for, again, parents, grandparents who are going through this process for the first time and don't know the big picture of the college admissions kind of world and what that looks like. So I highly recommend sending this out. We also have a PowerPoint presentation that goes along with this. So if you want to build a whole campaign around it, say you have, a lot of clients with high school age kids and you want to connect with them, or even if you want to use this as a prospecting event, you can kind of walk them, send out this card and walk them through it by using this client action webinar here. The key things that they need to know, just a good way to kind of get out there that you can talk to them about college planning. You're helpful around this. You have information. So that is our theme for the month of August. And then looking ahead to September, we're going to be talking about healthcare planning. As I mentioned, Medicare open enrollment is in the fall. And so we build in this to the calendar because people are going to be seeing a lot of it in the news. If they're in that kind of Medicare age window, they've been getting stuff in the mail about it. So this is a good time to reach out about that. For our article reprint, we have how to keep healthcare costs under control in retirement. This is written by Elaine Floyd. This is a great reprint because most retirees wind up being very surprised about the cost of healthcare and retirement, right? They come off usually an employer sponsored plan that's kind of being subsidized in some way. And a lot of them have this misconception that Medicare is going to be cheaper than what they were paying before, and that's not always the case. And people really need to kind of budget for these expenses in retirement. And so this is a great piece to send out to those who are, thinking of retiring in the next few years and need to really build kind of a budget for healthcare and understand the process before they are in it. So again, great piece to send out in September. And then we also have the healthcare quick reference guide. This goes through kind of all the um, key Medicare numbers for the year, premiums, deductibles, different enrollment options. So again, great piece for those who are already on Medicare, but also those who, are 64 and going to be kind of going into the Medicare world in the next year or two, just to kind of get an idea of what they need to do. This again is a really confusing topic for people who have never dealt with it before. So you can be a truly a great resource for clients and prospects who are going into this world for the first time. And just sending out these pieces can start conversations among them, and have them reach out to you for a little bit more help. So those are what we're looking. That's what we're looking at for August and September. There's also a couple of presentations for September, but we'll talk about that next month. But if you're thinking about, again, some events to do this fall, you might want to look here as a place to start when you're planning those events out. And I see a note here from Mark. I'm not heavy into Medicare anymore, but I see a lot of news on a Medicare mess going on. Having some kind of education in 2026 changes would be good. Um, yeah, that's totally true, and I can certainly pass that on to Elaine, because I think you're right. There's a lot of stuff going on that people don't necessarily know about, and that's a great point. So thank you, Mark, for your comment there. We'll make sure that gets to our Medicare team over here. And then lastly, the last part of our kind of meeting here is going over some questions that have come into the program. So one second, I'm just pulling up my notes here. So I have the questions ready to go for you. Um, the first question we have is, what's the best way to reconnect with former clients or prospects who went silent? This is great because I think, especially at this time of the year when, again, we're kind of trying to hit those year-end goals, one place to look for, new clients is kind of that old list of prospects that maybe you've kind of been dripping on for a long time, or maybe you've stopped because you don't want to annoy them. But, they're kind of already these warm prospects that are just kind of waiting. To become clients, or go, meet with you and kind of discuss that more. Maybe there's someone who's attended a workshop years ago and they weren't ready to make a move, but now they are. And so I think going back to this list of kind of these prospects who maybe went silent is a great place to start if you're looking to kind of close some more business at the year end. And, number one, I would say, if you're not dripping on them already, whatever you're sending out, your communication touches, your newsletter, you certainly should be doing that. I think a lot of times advisors worry like, oh, I'm gonna bother them with too many emails. But I think that you need to kind of be top of mind for them. And so they don't necessarily have to get every email that you send out, but certainly those really important touches, things like we talked about today, right? The healthcare quick reference guide, if they're Medicare age, the college planning card, if they have, if you know that they have kids who are that age. When we get to the last chance checklist, that's a great piece to really drop on those prospects who you haven't heard from and you kind of want to reinvigorate. So I would say picking out really important value add communication touches and sending those to them is a great way to re-engage them. Again, sending kind of just a note to them saying you're checking in, it's been a while, but keeping it kind of low stakes. Can be good. Offering them something like, a 15-minute check-in call, or again, some sort of value, that whether it's that last chance checklist, that can be a really great way to kind of re-engage that list in kind of a low pressure way where you're staying top of mind. But we always say, you should be dripping on these people regularly. We hear stories from advisors time and time again where they say, someone came to a workshop of mine years ago on Social Security, and, I've been dripping on them for years, never heard from them. And then all of a sudden one day they pick up the phone and they call because they're ready to talk about, their claiming strategies. Or maybe it's not even related to Social Security. Like maybe they, have just been receiving your emails and now they are having some sort of event where they realize they need your help on it. So don't give up on dripping on these people. It's worth it to continue to communicate with them, and you can do so in a way where you're not, bombarding them with messages, but you're staying top of mind. And then the second question we had come in is around kind of AI and marketing, which we've been getting, talking a lot about here. But one of the questions was, what's the best way to use ChatGPT to improve my social media presence without spending hours on content? This is a great question. I would say number one, I mean, the most obvious answer here is you can simply prompt a tool like ChatGPT to come up with a month's worth of social media posts for you. However, I think, unless you're really good at prompting or you've worked a lot with it, you're going to get a lot of kind of generic posts out of there where they're not really going to resonate with your audience. It's not going to be in your voice. It's not going to be great. What I do think you should do instead is ask ChatGPT to create social media posts for you based on content either you've created or that you're sharing with your clients and prospects. That way it's, relevant to things that you're doing, it's in your voice, you're repurposing content, and you're getting more bandwidth out of one piece of content. So what does that look like, right? You might be sitting here saying like, that's great, but I have no idea how to do that. Say you want to use the article reprint for the month of August, which again we talked about was choosing a school, the sensible school versus expensive name brand school. Um, you know, how do you do that? You could simply put that article reprint into a tool like ChatGPT, ask it to create, three social media posts around there and have those be your posts around that. You can take a blog post or a newsletter that you've written and have it create social media posts from that. You can even have it take a video you've done and give it the transcript and say create social media posts from that. There's so much you can do there where again now it's going to be in your own voice, going to reflect the content that you're already kind of sharing regularly. So it's not these generic kind of posts that anyone could come up with. And it's going to be hyper personalized to your target market, your clients, your prospects, because again, you're kind of feeding it that base material to build off of. So I would say that's another great way to do it. If you're someone who has posted on social media yourself in the past, you can also give it examples of your past posts. So it can kind of use that as a formula to create future posts for you based on the content that you're sharing. Um, and of course, too, you may have seen, or if you've been on other meetings with us, you may be aware that we are um, in the midst of launching a program, AI for Advisors Pro, along with our AI powered financial advisor program this fall. So this wasn't meant to be a sales pitch, but since we're talking about it, if you're interested in learning more about, how to use these tools, you could sign up for that. We do have a whole kind of segment on social media and how to really engage these tools because I know for a lot of advisors that's a pain point. You don't want to spend a ton of time on doing social media, but you need to have something going out on a regular basis. So we have some training around that, and more will be coming through that AI for Advisors Pro program as well. So, um, Doug, I think that's it for me this month. It looks like we've addressed everything here in the chat. Is there anything I've missed on your end? All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. We hope you enjoy the rest of summer. We'll be back the first week in September to talk about what we're going to be looking at for this fall and year end. So keep going, get that fall schedule ready to go. Think about what you're going to be doing in the fall, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks, everyone.